नमस्ते।
नमस्ते निशा। કેમ છો?
Good afternoon, sir.
नमस्ते।
Mehta sir, namaste. Welcome to join us. Vikas, how are you?
Fine, sir. 2 to 3 scientists are also accompanied with me.
Yes, excellent. How are you, Nilamben? Welcome to join us.
थैंक यू, अच्छी हूँ। आप कैसे हैं सर?
अच्छा ने गुजरात।
नमस्ते सर। नमस्ते मैडम महेश्वरी।
नमस्ते।
How are you, Dr. Maheshwari?
फाइन सर, फाइन सर। नमस्ते।
Welcome.
थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू।
So it's a sharp 3 o'clock and we begin our interaction meet because all the trees and more than Ganeshmanna. So I request all of you मैं सब करूंगी कि आप लोग भी मेरे साथ गणेशमन्ना में जुड़े। वक्रतुंडे महाकाय
सूर्यकोटि समप्रभ निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा।
सबका धन्यवाद। आज हम लोग इस माध्यम से बहुत बार मिलते हैं। We every month, every quarter we have this type of interaction meet, webinar and seminar through Zoom because now situation is better. But today's subject is very much important and आज का जो हमारा विषय है उसमें जिस तरीके से अगर हम ये प्रोग्राम को देखने जाए तो हमारे पास जो भी speakers है, so we feel very much proud and lucky कि आज जो हमारे speakers है उससे हमें जो ये पूरा साल है कि अभी तो हम लोग सब पढ़ते हैं कि the monsoon is coming, like केरला से अभी पूरा monsoon अभी हम रिसीव करने वाले, हमको मिलने वाला है, बारिश मिलने वाला है। तो किस तरीके से उसका हम मैक्सिमम बेनिफिट ले और जो भी हमारे चैलेंजेस है उसको किस तरीके से साथ में रह के ओवरकम करें। So on behalf of NCCSD and all the organizations, I warm welcome to all. मैं सबका तहे दिल से इस इंटरेक्शन मीट में स्वागत करती हूँ। Especially welcome to Dr. Kirit Parikh sir. He always support and जब भी हम उनका मार्गदर्शन लेना चाहते हैं वो हमें हमेशा इस माध्यम से हमको हमेशा Zoom मीटिंग में हमारे साथ जुड़ के हमें वो हमको देते हैं। So thank you so much Parikh sir for giving your valuable time to us today and request sir please guide us so based on that we move forward. I warmly welcome to Dr. Neelam Patel. जब भी कोई बात करते हैं नीति आयोग एंड डॉक्टर नीलम पटेल देन जैसे सैलत साहब ने भी बताया वैसे ही भी फील के नीलम पटेल मैडम तो हमारे लिए ही है कि वो हमें हमेशा गाइड करते हैं। अभी से अगर आप देखने जाओ तो कोई भी कॉन्फ्रेंस, कोई भी मीटिंग, कोई भी ऐसा डिसीजंस, पॉलिसीज होता है उसमें हमेशा उनका गाइडेंस हमको मिलता रहता है। इवन गुजरात स्टेट को भी मिलता रहता है। तो मैं एनसीसीएसडी की ओर से डॉक्टर नीलम पटेल का तहे दिल से स्वागत करती हूँ। Warmly welcome to Anuradha ji. You are joining with us and your contribution is very much valuable because I am just sharing a little letter कि क्या हम करने जा रहे हैं उसमें when Shalat sir had a meeting with the नीति आयोग senior dignitaries, Honorable Ramesh Chandji. At that time, he suggested and he guided us, please keep in touch with Anuradha ji for your study. So, ma'am, warmly welcome to you. Dr. Rajendra Shetty, जैसे मैं बताना चाहूँ तो उनका भी हमें हमेशा एनर्जी सेक्टर्स, then कोई भी जब भी हम सेक्टर्स, एग्रीकल्चर और जब पॉलिसी की बात करते हैं, पार्टीज की मीटिंग्स में जब भी हमारा उनका आदान प्रदान होता है विचारों का, तो शरद सर हमको गाइड करते हैं कि सर का कंट्रीब्यूशन हमारे लिए बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट होता है. तो सर, warmly welcome to you in this interaction meet. Dr. Pathak sir, તમારું આ interaction meet માં હાર્દિક સ્વાગત છે. Pathak sir is a senior honorable scientist, and he always guide technical. So warmly welcome to Pathak sir. Dr. N.C. Patel sir, he always guide, support, and show us this is the right direction. If you do this, then you can achieve this. So always, as a young people, we are doing lots of things, but as a technology point of view, as a technical expert, he always support us in very positive manner. Both and Nancy sir, both are busy because both have lots of because they are the technical person, but he always spend the time for us. So thank you so much, sir, and we warmly welcome to you, sir. Vikas Baje bhai, CEO, and he like Vikas bhai, Rohit bhai, Manu bhai, Nandini ben, Chatrika ben, Sardar bhai, Magan bhai, and Gosalia sahibs, all are the core team members. When we had any interactions, any seminars, first we discuss in the this core team, in between the core team, and they always guide closely with all of them, and we feel like we work together, so we are with the strength. So Vikas bhai, warmly welcome to you as a key speaker, because today you are doing the most important job on behalf of us. You are doing excellent work. Dr. Chauhan sir, Dr. Mehta sir, Director Research from Nagpur University. Sir, warmly welcome to you. Dr. Timbadia from the Navsari University, Director Stations. Sir, warmly welcome to you. Timbadia साहब का हमें हमेशा मार्गदर्शन और सहकार मिलता रहा है for the extension training, farmers training, SFT, FTC training. So मैं उनका भी तहे दिल से इस इंटरेक्शन में स्वागत करती हूँ. Manushi, she is from the Assam, but she always work with us as a we don't have any barriers, language barriers, and she came at the Kutch and hold the teams work we do. We feel very much proud. Manushi ji with us. So ma'am,
thank you so much for keeping me in this forum, but I'm retired from the university job. Anyway, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Today we have Maheshwari Mandapaka, former director Krida. Technically, when I saw the Maheshwari ji, I feel like that, oh, Maheshwari ji have a this much of knowledge and she is capable as a director at Krida. Then why I am not? So I always as a guide, I always saw Maheshwari ji as my guide. And if I have any problem technically, Maheshwari ji help me. So Maheshwari ji, on behalf of NCCSD, I warmly welcome to you. Today we have international speakers also. You know, as a council members, we have Dr. Enkuya from the Florida Mechanical University, Dr. Nandakumar Devte, he is the Bureau of the Department of Agriculture in the Florida in the US, and Dr. Govind Hariharan, he is a council member. So today Govind Hariharan ji also joined with us from the Atlanta. So we warmly welcome to Dr. Govind Hariharan ji also. Warmly welcome to Dr. Shalan sir, our executive chairman, Dr. Sadamte sir, for always he guide us, and on behalf of NCCSD, I warmly welcome speakers. Not only speakers, but today we have our colleagues also. We have just, I told each and every name, but we have organization of the VRTI, Mandvi, VRTI Bhavnagar, Atapi, SFT, and some KVK colleagues. We have a Seva colleagues also. So I warmly welcome with two joint hands to all. And just give us some brief introductions. What is the object of today's meeting? आज का हमारा मीटिंग का उद्देश्य क्या है? So, okay, I just forget it. We sent invitation to Professor Anil Gupta and Director Krida, Dr. Kumar Singh and Nand Kumar Devde. Professor Anil Gupta, he is in the Shodh Yatra. So he said, of course, but in the Shodh Yatra, it is difficult to join in this interaction. So when I'm back, I will send a note. It's a pleasure that Director Krida Acharya sir, we have colleagues Rosil, Axel Industries, and SWAG seniors and colleagues. So I warmly welcome. And the objective of the interaction week is three important points. Why we are thinking we come together and discuss these initiatives for today, because it's the onset of monsoon. Because the weather pattern is change, temperature is increase, productivity is increase or decrease. Because it's the data is very much vary. Because of climate change, the agriculture sector, मतलब जो हमारा कृषि में जो तापमान बढ़ने से जो असर हुआ है, उसमें हम देखने जाए तो ये मेरे क्रॉप के लिए अच्छा भी है, लेकिन कोई और जियोग्राफिकल एरिया में वो क्रॉप के लिए उसका असर बहुत बुरा है, मतलब उनकी प्रोडक्टिविटी कम हो रही है, वहां पे ज्यादा बारिश हुई है तो उनका प्रोडक्शन ही नहीं है, तो वहां पे ज्यादा लॉसेस है, कहीं पे अच्छा प्रोडक्शन है तो वहां पे प्रॉफिट भी है। तो ऐसे बहुत सारे क्रॉप्स है जहां पे अप एंड डाउन ये सिचुएशंस है। सो एग्रीकल्चर, देन हॉर्टिकल्चर एंड फिशरी। So I think agriculture is we always see agriculture as integrated. So उसमें current situation क्या है? So if we see the lots of report on the Google, so one university published this report, the second university published this report, this academic institution published this report. Of course, all are very much important. All the data is very valuable, very authentic. But the actual situation at the ground level is maybe vary. Sometimes when we see the literatures and when we visit the field, sometimes it's a vary or sometimes it's a matchable also. So आज जो हम बात करना चाहते हैं वो सिर्फ कोई रिसर्च एकेडमिक पेपर की बात करना नहीं चाहते हैं, लेकिन SWAG organizations, we all as a group, we started one action research, and in the Gujarat state, we identified the 300 farmers from the 4 geographical areas, and we all decided that we track that farmers, 300 farmers in next 3 years. So we really know the situation this year, today, after 6 months, after 1 year, after 1.2 years, and after 3 years. So we really come up with the action data from the ground level. And in this whole initiatives, I really thankful because all the vice chancellors, they all have a meeting, but they support us all Anand universities, Osari universities, Junagadh University, and Datiwada's universities. And director research and director extensions and especially role of the KVKs. So our organizations like NGOs and KVK work together, and KVK, they provide the technical knowledge and technologies, and we are working at the field level. So how we can combine and how we work together and try to identify the gaps and strength of these 300 farmers, and then come up with the policy issues and the what is the action needed. So this is all happening, and we had this initiative started in the month of February. This is the 3rd month. So this Tuesday, this big Tuesday, we have a OT meeting with the Vikas Bhai, Kausalya Sahib, Malay Bhai, and Rohit Bhai. So we decided onset of monsoon, if we have to identify some policies and some recommendations, we need. So I request all the speakers today, we are with us. We need your guidance for the future actions, because all the volunteers today are in this interaction beat. So the objective, what we have, whatever you are sharing is directly percolated to the volunteers, and only volunteers, they are acting at the grassroots level. So it is very much important. So this is the whole objective of this today's interaction meet, and not taking a much time. Welcome again to all of you, and I request to Honorable Dr. Kirit Parikh sir for his guidance and address. So. Dr. Kirit Parikh sir.
Myself, I just unmuted myself. Thank you very much, Dr. Shailat and Ms. Shah. I think this is a very important topic. Today we are going through certain agricultural situation in the country. And the issues that we face are two, in my opinion, which are very important. One is the climate change has increased uncertainty of various kinds in the climate. For example, this year's heat wave have reduced wheat yield by some 3%. And as a result, the government had banned suddenly exports of wheat. In my opinion, that banning of the export of wheat is not the right measure. We should really have not done that, because if you are going to export and be exporter in the future, then you must have a more consistent strategy. People cannot really say that I'll buy so many million tons from you this year and next year you won't supply anything. That doesn't work. At the same time, I think if the world market prices are high, we should benefit for wheat and let the farmers also get some benefit of it. What to do with the consumers? Well, of course, we really need to concentrate much more on direct benefit transfer and increase that amount, but really that's one way of doing it. But this is a really transit problem. We really need to have a longer term strategy for climate-induced stresses that we might come. So an analysis of what kind of climate risk we are facing might be useful, but then design some kind of an insurance scheme for farmers that they can, if they're subjected to this climate, they can get some compensation for it. Now, I know that agricultural insurance schemes have not really worked very well in the past. I think, however, that the fact that the information technology and our communication system has improved so much that we can perhaps think about a system that can function now. The second issue I think we face is that many farmers in many areas use excessive fertilizer and excessive water and excessive pesticides. And as a result, in Punjab, for example, the water table has been going down and so on. And over-irrigation has led to all kinds of agricultural issues in terms of land degradation and so on. So what can we do about it? I think we need to have policies that induces farmers on their own to change their cropping patterns. And certainly we can have a system of MSP for a whole range of crops should be announced upfront. Now, if you look at the MSP for a number of years, say in Punjab, that has been divided from different districts and so on. And if you look at the likely variability, risk of different crops, in the yield variability that takes place. And then you see that the crops, the MSP is prescribed for wheat and rice still give you more money than the MSPs that you prescribe for other crops, given the likely out yield of these crops. So we need to examine really what kind of structure of MSP should be there, given for all crops of a season in advance, and such that farmers can get benefit from different crops at the same level of income as they get from growing wheat or rice. And that can certainly induce them. But that is one kind of a thing. Of course, that would increase prices of many other products, crops and so on. But this is unavoidable. If you want to have a system in which people have a reasonable degree of freedom and choice, and the choice is the right kind of choice from the environmental and agriculture point of view, then we need to have recognized that, yes, prices might go up, but at the same time, we should really think about protecting the poor through direct benefit transfer. I think these are some of the major issues, and one can, these are the short-term issues that I think we face. If you are considering very long-term issue, then of course, climate change would bring for the cropping patterns, maybe not the right one for a district now, 10 years from now, than it is doing today. And we need to be prepared for what kind of hydrological changes that might take place in different districts in India. And that, I think, one should be able to do that. And of course, invest somewhat in research for developing the right kind of crops and cropping patterns and so on. I think my 5 minutes are over, so I will now stop here.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir, for your short-term and long-term, whatever you just guided us is very much helpful. You are exactly says like short-term because whatever challenges we have, first we have to identify what is the short-term and the long-term. And based on that, we make an action plan with the farmers and with the help of the State Department, how we can overcome it. Parikh sir, thank you so much for your valuable time, and thank you so much because as I mentioned earlier, you always guide us and support us, and your guidance is very much important, sir. So on behalf of SB, sir, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Today we have officers from the Agriculture Department, from the Department of Agriculture. So Department of Agriculture, he support all the initiatives at the grassroots level. As I mentioned earlier, like universities and KVK, they are working at the grassroots level and have initiatives and the training. We work together. So last year, I would like to share, we had a meeting, interaction come training with the 21 district Atma officers. And it's an excellent program, and it's supported by the Department of Agriculture. And we learn a lot because the subject is identify the stakeholders. Stakeholders is extension officers, Atma officers, agriculture extension officers. So all the officers are in the one place, they are sitting at their places, like in the Godhra, in the Tapi, in the Surat, in the Baroda. And we all today we have a webinar interactions meet, and we discuss lots of things. And Acharya sir, NC Patel sir, Pathak sir, like senior most scientists, they guide us directly, and whatever issue they have, even the company also guided them directly, like the Vadilal, how to do exports. So the Department of Agriculture, the contributions in the whole this initiative is lots and बहुत उनका प्रदान है एंड आज वो हमारे साथ जुड़े हुए हैं. सो वार्मली वेलकम टू डायरेक्टर एग्रीकल्चर, डायरेक्टर हॉर्टिकल्चर, डायरेक्टर fertilizers and director animal husbandry, so who are with us today and who always guide us and support us. So sir, ये इंट्रोडक्शन में आपका भी स्वागत करती हूँ. I request honorable Dr. Neelam Patil ma'am for his guidance. Ma'am.
Good afternoon. Thanks, Nisaben. Respected Kirit Parikh sir,
Namaste.
Sailat sir, Rajendra ji, Pathak ji, Maheshwari, Madam Patel ji, Vikas Waje, and other honorable guests who are available with are connected with this in this discussion, and also the officers from the state government. And first, I would like to compliment you for initiating a very good program, because it will give the insights of the government measures, policies, and how these farmers are getting the benefit from the government policy. If some gaps are there, then what kind of gaps are there? Gaps are there that we need to work out. And in fact, since your topic is current agricultural situation and challenges, so I would like to mention 2 or 3 points for the benefit of the all our delegates and officers, those who are with us, attending this program with us. You have seen that in the during the COVID-19 situation in last 2 years, and also in now ongoing Russia-Ukraine conflict, as a country level, we could able to maintain the consistent supply inputs. You can take the agriculture inputs and pulses, oilseeds, we are able to maintain. And also we could achieve the new milestone in the terms of exports. So 50 billion US dollar for the export, and we sent our product to different countries. And our agriculture production is also all-time high during in 2020-21. And we are expecting this year it will be about 310 million tons. Similarly, we have made very good progress in horticulture also. But if you see the livestock population and their growth rate, then we have made tremendous progress in these fisheries and livestock sectors also. See, here I would like to mention one more thing, that government procured huge quantities of wheat, rice, pulses, cotton, oilseeds, and we are giving the minimum support price to our 23 important crops. And if you see the growth in the minimum support price in from 2014-15 to now, in jute is something close to 82%, but you will find more than 35% in major crops. So the farmers should get the cumulative prices for their crops. And as mentioned by the Parikh sir, we are now declaring the MSP before the crop season, so that the farmer can take a decision to grow any crop, and that is the practice that we are following. And in the terms of the procurement of wheat and rice, we have created a history, and the increase in the procurement in 82% in rice, increase in some 13-14 base year you can take, and then in wheat is 55.4%. And now, yes, it is time to change the overall agriculture sector policy landscape, shifting from the input intensive to sustainable farming to meet the food and nutrition demand. And that is why you are observing that we are working not only in the technology sector to make our agriculture technologically sustainable, but also we are promoting this organic farming and natural farming also, so that the cost of production can be decreased. Farmers should be able to maintain the soil health, the water footprint can be reduced, and also the consumer also should get the healthy product. And now the market is enormous, and you know, in the through the export of organic produce, we got a very good foreign exchange. And in terms of now, our export is 3% and our import is 1%. So now the export is higher than the import. So means we are understanding that we are moving in the direction of Atmanirbhar Bharat in agriculture and allied sectors. And also, if you see the budget that the government of India is giving to sustain the agriculture activities, that from 22,000 crore in 2013-14 to now we are having 1.35 lakhs crore during 2020-21. So you can see the allocation of the resources for this sector. But yes, we are having several challenges that already pointed out by the Parik sir and Nisaben, that the fertilizer uses. We are using not much fertilizer, but the fertilizer ratio is skewed, NPK. Generally, we found is 4:1 ratio as it was recommended by the National Academy of Agricultural Sciences in their policy document. But you will find the national level, this ratio is very much skewed. Similarly, if you make the comparison in the worldwide, our usage is less, but in the insecticide and pesticide, but we are not able to follow the good agriculture practices. So these are the some gaps, and then also the water table also is going down in the countrywide. So we have to convince our farmer that the water which you are using, applying in your crops, it is not effectively utilizes. What is happening? We are only able to utilize 30 to 40% of water that we are giving to our crops. So what is happening to remaining water? It is going to waste. So similarly, we have to now make the effort so that we can reduce the use of fertilizer, use of water, use of energy, and also follow the good agriculture practices, because now the climate is going to impact the total agriculture production system. So I think it is time, when you work with the farmers that you have identified, so not only the production, but also to tackle the total supply chain. And this is the agenda of the government of India. So we are working in one hand to provide the soil health card, and other hand, we are giving the support to make the FPOs, to take care of the small and marginal farmer interest, and also to tackle the total value chain, means having the provision of warehousing and cold storage. And then after having the cold storage and warehouses, then the branding of the product, so that internationally we can export our product. So these are the all scenarios, and you are seeing the government of India effort that last year we have created one new ministry of cooperation, only to support our small and marginal farmers through the cooperative, through the FPOs, and this is the agenda. This is the topmost agenda. And we have, we have initiated the Krishi Udan and then Kisan Rail, so that the produce from the one place can go to the other place. And we are providing the support in the terms of in the transport also. And our agenda this year, we have planned for 10,900 crores for these food processing sectors. And because we know that we are having good produce available, but sometimes when the farmers are having the maximum production, then they are not able to get the market, so that the farmers should get to use the facility of processing in secondary and tertiary. So these are the some of the sectors where we are putting our emphasis. And sir, I would like to touch the point that Parik sir told, that the ban in the export of wheat. Sir, you know that this year, I would like to inform you, sir, that we are going to have India is going to have the presidency of G20 summit. And there we are going to raise the issue of these phytosanitary measures. In the normal situation, when we are trying to export our produce, their norms are so hard, so existing, that we are not able to export our thing. But now in the time of war, they have relaxed everything. So we are arguing that if you can take our product now, why not all the time? you develop a policy that the India can supply you in consistent manner all these three products. But in the normal situation, their policies is different, and now their policy is different. So, sir, we are going to raise this question. This is our one of agenda item to work upon this the phytosanitary measures that these G20 countries are imposing in India. So this is our thing, and sir, the chemical fertilizer dependency we have to reduce, and you are seeing the increase in the prices of the chemical fertilizers, and we are expecting that in 2020-23 about ₹2 trillion we have to spend on these chemical fertilizers. So therefore, our aim is to work on the promotion of natural farming, because natural farming, the FAO's nomenclature is agroecological farming. Australian people are telling it's regenerative agriculture, but in our country we are our nomenclature is natural farming, and so to reduce the dependency on the chemical fertilizer and to use the maximum number of livestock which are available in our country, so we are promoting this natural farming because this is based on the science. There is no emotional attachment with this. This is basically on the science, and what we are doing that use this module of natural farming with new technology. And even in Gujarat, I have visited the farmers in the Kutch with the Madhya also is there. There the farmer have developed the total automation system. So all these the inputs for the natural farmings are produced by the farmers by using all the tanks, and then filtration, then aeration, then application. So there is the combined effort to use the technology with this traditional wisdom, so that the farmers can use this technology easily. And I think now future is good, and our one district already declared as a natural farm to produce as a natural farming district in the Gujarat. So because of the Gujarat is with me, so I used to visit very frequently to farmers' field, having discussion with the farmers. And I think the initiative that you have taken, this is going to bring a new dimension in the total agriculture and life sector. We will be able to really pinpoint what needs to be done in 5 years, 10 years, and 20 years, so that we can make our agriculture sustainable. We have achieved the food security, but now we have to achieve the nutritional security, and also to sustain this food security for the longer term, to make our agriculture sustainable in the view of the climate change, reducing this reduction in the field sizes, and also the young people are not finding interest in the agriculture. So how we can train them to put them in this sector with the new technology? So this should be our approach in future. And I think I have taken more than 5 minutes that was allotted to me. But Niti Ayog is with you, Salat sir, whenever you need any support from our side. And we have already put Anuradha Batana, who is senior officer with me, senior research officer with agriculture vertical in Niti Ayog. And after your discussion with honorable member and Professor Ramesh Chand, so she will be working with you in this project, and I am all the time available for anything, for any support, whatever you need. But I can, sir, I would like to compliment you. A very good concept, a very good project, and I think we can replicate this success of this project in other states too also. Thank you.
You are muted, Nishaji. Nishaji, please unmute.
Yes, Maheshwari, thank you so much. Like always, technical guidance. Thank you so much, Dr. Neelam Patel. Thank you so much, your contributions, your support. Like always, you said today also you are with us. So in this project, of course, we need your help regarding for the formation of the summary recommendations and whatever outcome, whatever result we have. We always keep in touch with you, ma'am, and share with you. So on behalf of NCCSD, I really thankful to Dr. Neelam, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Now I request to thank you, ma'am. I request to Ms. Anuradha Bhattana for his address. Ma'am. Okay. She already sent a message because she has some technical issues. So she will send her notes. So thank you, ma'am, for your message, and we keep in touch with you for the further interactions with you, and we await for your notes. But your contribution is very much important, and we will keep in touch with Neelam Patel, ma'am, also. So now I request to Dr. Rajendra Shende, Chairman Terry Policy Center, for his guidance. So.
Thank you very much. Hope I'm audible.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. First of all, thanks to Dr. Kirit, also Dr. Neha, for organizing this so well. It's not easy to organize the things when the heat waves are going on everywhere. And but that makes it very important because we are confined to the rooms and we can talk. I'm also very pleased to listen to Dr. Kirit Shah and also to Mrs. Patel from Niti Aayog, and also the background of this activity that is being done by NCCSD. Very apt, and not many people in today's startups and business talk about agriculture. We were listening to it long sessions when the farmers' agitation was going on. But nowadays, after the COVID-19, I think we are now looks to be not much concerned with the agriculture, except for the experts, like what we heard from the Niti Aayog. But I would like to come back to the situation where we have been looking at the agriculture as the farmer as an entity. Whereas the real situation is, farmer is providing not only the food security, is providing what is called as a national security. Today, because we have enough stock of the food, I think we feel pretty secure. At the same time, we feel, and that is a good term which was used by Mrs. Patel of Niti Aayog, a nutrition security. So look, see, such a simple farmer is providing us a national security and a nutrition security and feeling us comfortable, not only because our stomachs are full, but we also living in a sort of a secured world in India. A lot of credit goes to the government's policy. Dr. Modi, Prime Minister Modi's optimism that he created some time back about doubling the farmers' income, to have adequate food stocks that we can deal with even during the crisis. And that maybe the first target we will be missing because of so many issues that are involved in policy making. But the food security is definitely being met, and we are on a right track for that. The situation today, though from the point of view of the food security, looks to be quite comfortable, I think there's a lot to be done about the nutrition security as well as the farmer security. Let me talk about gratitude to the farmers over the last 2-3 years, because that is the only industry which was not closed down during the COVID-19. This simple farmer kept on working in his field. he was not confined like all of us in the offices. He was toiling in his field. And that's why today we are in such a comfortable situation in terms of rice and wheat. And this is something amazing. So I think the first thing all of us should do is to thank farmers. And that's why we are here. I think, I guess none of us are farmers. Of course, the small exception is me, because I have a small, I live in a farm. I do my own organic food. And I even sell some of the things over there. And probably I can claim that I know the woes, the struggles, and troubles that the farmers go through. It has not been easy. And particularly in COVID-19, if such farmer has performed so well to give us such a security, I think farmers need to be applauded. Now, coming back to the things like Ukraine war, COVID-19 is not yet over. Climate change is growing. Farmers are getting, some of the rich farmers are getting adamant about against the policy change, without recognizing that India went through the policy reforms right from 1990, but it did not go through any of the agricultural policy reforms till now, which we should have done it. But knowing that we need a lot of policy reforms, and the policy reforms is creating a tremendous amount of obstructions from all sides, not only farmers, but the intellectuals and the so-called leftists and all those things. I would like to put forward a point which is about technology. And this technology change, which according to me, can be brought forward even without a policy change. I'm just reflecting back as an IIT graduate myself, and having worked in United Nations for 2 decades. And that time is in the middle when the internet technology was rising, and it shows the steep growth. I saw that it's not a government policy that made the internet revolution. Internet revolution just happened, and the governments came later on to regulate it. According to me, the same thing should happen in case of agriculture. We know that some of the things in the past, even in India in agriculture, have taken place without any major government intervention. Let's take a white revolution, which was talked about. And let's say Gujarat is a good example where Dr. Kirit and Neha are there in that field. The government did not say anything about that we should be having these incentives for milk production. But the white revolution took place. Somebody like, there was a leader who started a cooperative movement. Same thing happened with the sugar industry. That is also another white revolution. Of course, the green revolution probably was supported by the government's policies, but the ideas were there before. So the technologies existed and people had that in the mind. And I think today also we can proceed in order to make sure that the agricultural sector, it just grows leaps and bounds with the technology first, and let the government come to regulate it later on. Let me explain what it means. We heard during COVID-19 the growth of the webinars, growth of hackathons. I hardly saw any agri-hackathons. I didn't see any traditional knowledge bringing it back in a disruptive way by any of the farmers or the farmers' sons or the agricultural graduates, which had helped in the past in growing our food in a diverse way. Somebody talked about the banning the export of wheat, good or bad. I want to put forward a disruptive point that yes, let's go ahead with the export of wheat in a different way. Let's have a barter system, which we used to have it in the past. Let's give the wheat and get those products which provide us more nutrition. I mean, our former Prime Minister has said that it's a shame, it's a national shame that our children and women are malnutrition. Now, don't you think we have an opportunity here to barter our wheat with import of nutritious food? Maybe the fruits, maybe the vegetables, maybe some of the grains, cereals. And I think that is the way opportunity that we could use in such kind of a crisis. Climate change is giving us a water crisis. That is going to be the first thing that will going to affect us. Can't we see that with less, get to those crops which provides the less water? And can't NCCSD promote that every package where the food is sold in a supermarket has the water index over there, that this particular per kilogram of product, food product, has consumed this water, and probably charge it higher. Let's have, just like we have a MSP, which is an incentive for the farmers, let's put opposite incentive to the consumer, that let the consumer make a choice that if this particular product has taken more water, they will pay more for that. And that's the way, probably instead of free water, free electricity, this is the way probably we can create a consumer allowance and awareness and provide the extra funding to the farmers. Why the farmers cannot be producer of water? They can producer of energy. Every farm need not produce only food. They can use part of their farm to produce electricity by solar panel. And there is a movement in France which is going on because of the global warming. There is too much of a sun and the productivity is going down. So let's have a solar panels, and under the solar panels grow the food. And that productivity is much higher. And under the solar panel, the animals useful for the farms, the farm animals, can rest for a while in open, not in a room where they are crowded. Let them go in open and sit down under the shadow of solar panels. And the solar panels can produce water. The morning dew can be collected on a solar panel and channeled through into the pond. I myself have seen many of such farms. And I think that kind of it's not a code to be written for a software. It is a traditional technologies that we are using it for solving the modern problems. The agricultural problem cannot be solved by algorithm, by Infosys or by WIPO or Wipro or somebody. It can be done by using the traditional knowledge which farmers have, but we can provide them a technology. So I feel that today we are in a disruptive situation, but we can solve the problems with disruptive technology solutions. Dr. Kirit Shah and Neha, my 5 minutes are over, and I would like to thank you for organizing it, and I will be listening to the others for getting their new ideas. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your contributions and your guidance. You always encourage us, and from you, sir, we always get the energy, because your guidance is very much helpful. And thank you so much, sir, for NCCSD for your valuable time, sir. Now I request to Dr. E.R. Pathak, sir. But Dr. E.R. Pathak, sir, I'm audible?
Yes.
You some I'm audible? Malay bhai?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, thank you, Malami. So, thank you so much, Professor Rajendra Sendiji, for your valuable contribution. Now, I request to Dr. Pathak sir for his address. But Pathak sir already mentioned he have a oil seeds. So, sir, you are with us. If you share you guide us later, then I request NC Patel sir first. Dr. Pathak sir, you are with us.
Yes.
Okay.
I am.
Pathak sir for
But
his
let
guidance.
NC Patel to.
Sir, your voice is not clear. So, for his guidance and sir.
He is suggesting that let NC Patel sir speak first.
Nishaben, my connectivity
I
is very
request
poor.
Patel sir for his guidance and advice. Okay. I'm audible now.
Patel sir, we are on mute.
Yes.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are
Yes,
audible.
yes, now.
Okay. First of all, I welcome all the learned participants for this important webinar. And compliment Dr. Kirit Shalat and Nisha Ben for holding this important event. The agricultural situation, most of us, because we have been working since long in this area, we are aware about it, and the challenges also we are very much aware. So I would like to simply focus on few things that what is required is specifically now is area specific and crop specific specific actions. I'll just cite few examples. For example, pink bollworm is a big problem for cotton cultivation. And the recommendations which have been given by the entomologists, like Anand Agriculture University has brought out some corrective measures. So those things, for example, before the monsoon starts, the actions will have to be taken at farmers field level, geners level, traders level, and all that, so that the problem is eradicated. Now, similar, I'm quoting the example, all areas starting from the fertilization of the soil with, farmyard manure and all that before monsoon, the farmers started cultivating the field, the land preparations to all aspects will have to be planned out, area specific, and then location specific. All cultivation practices which are required to be taken up, that has to be really taken care of. And the exact technology transfer will have to be carried out by our extension agencies, line departments, KVKs and all. In line with that, because now the monsoon is, almost approaching, the first topmost priority should be the checking of soil erosion and water recharging activities. Because still there is time, almost 3 weeks or so. So farmers can really take it up. Already the last meeting also I had highlighted this particular point almost 2 months or so back. Then the next phase comes is the seeds. The components starting from the seeds, manures, fertilizers, pesticides, irrigation facilities, then the implements and machineries, till the harvest and post-harvest technologies. All these avenues, wherever it is required, and the status is also known to us. The advanced technology is also known to our scientists and the people who are working in the agriculture sector. That has to be really taken up, specifically crop specific and the location specific. Say, for example, seeds. Now, many times it so happens that farmers go for research varieties and then complete go for spend a lot of money also, and the research variety which is not endorsed by the university ultimately doesn't lead anything. If the seeds are good, is okay. But in many of the cases, seed companies are trying the testing at farmers' risk. And we have seen in the past, all of us, those who have worked in the field, have really realized that the research varieties ultimately doesn't lead anything. And since it is not the, recommendations of the government, state or ICR or the state agriculture universities, farmers cannot do anything against that company. So that needs to be protected. If at all farmers need to go for research varieties, say 5%, 10% areas can be tried just for trial. So that also needs to be extended. Another important issue, which is now, a big concern for the whole country, and that will definitely reflect in a big way our agricultural production, is there are three terms which are popular: natural farming, organic farming, and zero budget farming. Now, all these things have to be made very, very much clear. Even if lot of propagation is being done nowadays for natural farming, Prakritik Krishi. But then in that case, Prakritik Krishi करने में कितना production loss होगा? Whether we'll be able to feed our country. Instead of doing all that, we have to go for appropriate kind of technology, suitable technologies, and then maybe the mix of both. Otherwise, the production will be so much reduced, yield will be so much reduced that it will be really difficult to manage. Instead of that, the best would be to go for good agricultural practices so that even the pesticides residue issues are also minimized, and at the same time the production or the yield is also maintained, or rather whatever targets we fix up, so that potential yield is really achieved. So similar kind of aspects will have to be taken care of. And probably I remember long back, almost a decade back, what we call it, Dr. Pathak Sahib and many others, those who were in Gujarat are aware about it. That is the technology transfer which is being carried out, village extension workers. So there was a scheme wherein the farmers, visit the areas, and even there was I am forgetting the specific terms which was used for
T&V.
Yes, that is the word I was searching. So training and visit, that particular scheme was really excellent. Every 15 to 20 days time, the farmers will be made aware about the new technology, how to be, demonstrate, and what are the results. At village level, extension is to be required, farm level extension activities, and in holistic manner, the extension activities will have to be taken up. And that will probably bring a lot of awareness to the farmers, training and demonstration activities, and specifically, as I said earlier, location specific activities. That will definitely bring good results. And the last part is value addition and post-harvest technology, including the byproduct and agricultural waste utilizations. Now, these are some of the areas where the farmers' income also can be sustained, or rather can be increased in a way that if it is properly utilized, the rural agro-processing sector, if it is developed, it will definitely help. The management of soil fertility and the reclamation of soil. This is another area important, as equally important to the soil erosion. So that particular area also has to be really given due attention, and whatever research has been carried out by different research institutions, has to be really applied in the field, and this application will be location specific again, and that package of practices, including the good agricultural practices in combinations, will have to be given in total. Then that will definitely help to address a lot of challenges, and the agricultural situation also will be improved over a period of time, and the farmers' sustainability will also be increased. Thank you very much for allowing me to share my views and your patience hearing. Thank you very much. Namaskar.
Thank you very much, Dr. N.C. Patel. As usual, you are brilliant. Now I request Dr. Pathak. Dr. Pathak is former Vice Chancellor of Junagadh Agriculture University and eminent scientist. I request him to share. Incidentally, Dr. Pathak, your ex-colleagues, Junagadh Agriculture University research scientists, are also documenting this. Dr. Pathak, please. Pathak Sahib, તમે mute પર છો.
Please unmute your mic, Pathak Sahib.
સર મેબી પાઠક સાહેબનું નેટનું કંઈક થોડુંક ઇશ્યુ છે, એટલે હું પણ ફરીથી જોઈન થઈ. सो सर पाठक साहब हमारे साथ जुड़ते उस तब तक हम आई रिक्वेस्ट महेश्वरी मंदापक्का फॉर हर एड्रेस एंड गाइडेंस. महेश्वरी जी. Request Maheshwari ji for yes ma'am.
I'll
Very
take
good afternoon.
half a minute. I'll take Shalat sir.
हाँ sir.
I would request that if it is possible sometime to plan out a special such webinar on these three terminologies: natural farming, organic farming, and the zero budget natural farming.
Sure sir.
So that will make the things clear, and let some more experts who are working in this area join the group. Thank you so much.
Thank you sir. Yes ma'am.
Yes, very good afternoon. Respected Dr. Shalat sir, Kirit Shalat sir, Nisha madam, Dr. Patel sir, Dr. Neelam Patel madam, and Dr. Parikh sir, and all the dignitaries who are attending this particular, participating in this particular session. It's really a great pleasure to be with all of you and to share a few of my thoughts on this. And as we all know, that the high temperatures, changing precipitation patterns, all the sea level rise or growing frequency or extreme intensity of extreme events. If we look at the last 20-25 years, definitely within the country, there is a clear-cut evidence that the extreme events are on a rise. There's no second thought about it. So this kind of a continuous impacts of climate change are here to feel now. Not only climate change, but climate variability. These are all are here now. And definitely, how do we cope up with that? We have great programs in in our system. The National Mission on Climate Change. Then we have this National Action Plan on Climate Change, and as a part of that, we have the Mission on Sustainable Agriculture (NMSA), which are addressing this particular aspects. Also, the various whether it is Indian Council of Agriculture Research, whether it is state agricultural universities or the traditional universities, and so to say, even some of the IITs and many non-governmental organizations are addressing this important issue. Now, the point is, how do we really cope up? I'll limit myself to the climate change aspects, and definitely we need to have more of a few things which I can suggest. One is definitely a better diversification. There was a mention by Madam Dr. Neelam Patel and others also that it is very important for nutritional security and things like that. It is very important. So diversifying from the existing cropping systems, which are basically, if you look at it, predominated by rice and wheat. Of course, we have to look into the farmers' income and also the food habits. These have to be taken into account. But definitely, there's no second thought that we need to diversify more and more and also have inclusion of some of the agroforestry systems, whether it could be even trees or crops or forages or some other whether it is on field bunds and things like that. Some kind of a long-term sustainability is required. So for that, agroforestry will be really useful. So we need to have actually the while we go for a crop diversification, we need to have sort of healthy and diversified diets. That will help in having these diets also. However, the one problem is that how do we create value chains and markets around that area? So we need to look into this particular. Then secondly, there was a lot of discussion. As I am seeing, there's a lot of mention about the natural farming or zero budget and so on. Dr. Patel sir also just before me mentioned about this. So actually, whichever, and also Madam Neelam Patel mentioned about that. So whether we talk of, there are different nomenclatures in different areas across the world. Whichever we are talking of, whether it is zero budget or it with the natural farming or regenerative agriculture, so on and so forth. Basically, the emphasis is on agroecological approach. because we are dealing here, as I am trying to address the climate change aspect. So here, as an agroecological approach, agroecological based farming system or farming practice is very important for us to somehow follow that. Now, in that, definitely there is the high use of fertilizers or pesticides. This is leading to environmental problems. Also, there are, the greenhouse gas emissions. You can imagine the N2O emissions, which how much of global warming potential it has. All are very experts. I need not highlight that again. So these are some of the points, some which we need to consider, and definitely it is for us to look into the income of farmer and benefit for the farmer, as as it is his livelihood. So we need to address the aspect of doubling the farmer's income as well. Definitely that is the most priority. But there are so many lands across the country which are degenerated, which are not suitable for rice and wheat. Still we are going ahead. It's going ahead. So we need to look at these in the naturalist manner, in the most possible practical and pragmatic approach, and go for the wherever it is possible. There are other, as part of that, part of the natural farming practices, like for example, there is going since several years it is going on conservation, whether it is conservation agriculture is concerned, or whether it is no-till farming, crop rotation, soil management with better nutrition. All these are very important, and we need to consolidate them. Also, the excessive use of pesticides and fertilizers. Of course, there's a lot of pollution because of that, environmental pollution. And also the soil health card scheme of the government is already in place. So it is penetrated throughout the country. We need to have a need-based nutrient management, and that will be really advisable to have a sustainably conserve the soil ecosystem. And actually, most of the time it is felt that above ground is only the crop or the agriculture, but definitely below the ground, below the plant root, there is an entire, it's a three-dimensional way. There's an entire life. It is not soil is not an inert, it has entire life and dynamics of microorganisms and things like that, which are working through. So we need to really address them. And if we properly address, definitely we can reap the benefit of that. And of course, you all are very well aware, water use efficiency, how do we go about it? So there are two things in dryland agriculture. We also use the term efficient use of water. So it is not only increasing the water use efficiency, it is also how best we use the water efficiently. So, and another aspects of renewable energy usages are also there. And more important in the whole context is the proper, there is a lot of discussion about Krishi Vigyan Kendras and so on, the proper advisories to reach at the proper time. So for that, we need to reap the benefits of digital agriculture. Already it is there, smartphones, etc. being used, but we need to concentrate on this more and more and have a better digital, system, so that built-in system for whether it is IoT or artificial intelligence, so on. I without taking much of the time, I would like to highlight some of these points and put it before the August gathering for further work in these areas. Thank you very much. And all the time, I'll be glad to be associated with this great organization. Thank you, Nishaji. Thank you, Dr. Kiran.
Thank you, Dr. Maheshwari. You always technically guide us, and your support is very valuable. And you always encourage us, because whenever you guide us, based on that, we move forward. This research, now we have one presentation. This action research is based on our NICRA initiatives. So we all are the same. Malay Bhai and the Rohit Bhai and all the teams are the same, areas are the same. But what is the impact after 5 years? So we learn from you, Maheshwari ji. So thank you so much for your guidance, and we need your support. So we always keep in touch with you. And thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now I request to Dr. Pathak sir for his address. Pathak sir, you are with us. So I think, yes, sir. Pathak sir? Yes, sir. Namaste.
Yes, sir. Isaben, can you hear me? Namaste, namaste, Isaben.
Samrai છે, sir, samrai છે.
Respected Teresa, Isaben, all other colleagues. Now, this is a very good topic which has been selected by Teresa for climate change and its effects and how to overcome the climate change effects, looking to the present situation in agriculture. Dr. Neelam Patel and Kirit Way has given a very elaborative way. Addition to that, the Dr. N.C. Patel has given some views. Now, my views are that if we see the present situation of agriculture, then the 1.5 degree temperature has already increased. So climate change is already there. And under those circumstances, now the water requirement of the crop will be increased. And the post maturity of the crop and other physiological related things will also be there with the crop and also the animals. So that way we have to look for this. Pariksa was telling regarding the cropping system. Yes, certainly the cropping system will have to be required to be modified looking to the climatic risk. If we see in total, then the soil health is very important. And in respect to soil health, the addition of the organic matter will not be possible in everywhere, but certainly the waste utilization and it can also help some natural farming just like Jivamrut and Jivamrut may help to the farmer. And if we see another situation, very good situation that we have experienced last time, Madam was also, Neelam Madam was also referring to the MSP. Certainly even better than MSP, farmers have got the better price in many crops like wheat, gram, and even the cotton and the castor. And looking to that, because the farmer tendency is there, whatever they got the better price 1 year, the next year they follow the same crop. Looking to that, the cotton, castor, wheat, and the gram, and even the some pulses also there. So that are going to be increased in next season. Now, looking to that, the seed availability of that crop, maybe a hybrid, maybe a variety, that will be required to be considered in a top priority case. Similarly, the irrigation requirement and what Dr. N.C. Patel was referring to the water conservation and water harvest, yes, certainly that is given a due weightage in this season because the even before 3-4 days there was one article in the newspaper that wherever the water bodies are there, government is also, our honorable CM is also telling that wherever there is a water bodies are there, there should be cleared and the water conservation is given top priority so that when the temperature is increasing and then when crop requires the irrigation, then that can be given. The soil health to be maintained properly, then seed requirement looking to the cropping system, and then because whatever we say, but the farmers will follow based on the last year price of the crop, and that will reflect the total crop in the next season. So these are the few things, and moreover, the value addition is required because Madam was also referring, and we also have got that data that this time we have got a very good production of the food grain as well as the even pulses and even pulses, and the horticulture has even grown up like anything. So for that, the value addition is more important, and the looking to the market price, what which variety is giving the better market price, that we have to look into the situation, and the farmers should adopt that variety so that with a less effort you can get a better price. As for example, if we consider a wheat, then in wheat many varieties are there, but so far as Gujarat is concerned, in Gujarat the better price was obtained by that 496, and then even some better price was also then for that whole wheat as well as the fancy. So these are the things which we have to take into consideration for price situation. Similarly, even gram also there are 2, 3, 4 varieties, but the farmers got a better price for GC3. Like that, we have to see that which variety, which crop, looking to the market price, that should be taken by the farmers so that farmers can a better and how they can reduce the cost of the cultivation. With that, we have to. There are many ways. I will not go in much more detail, but certainly even a seed rate can also be useful for reduction in the cost, because seed is also giving the more of the cost in farmers, about the 30-40%. Pariksa was also referring the more utilization of the fertilizer and irrigation water. So that is also the thing there, how to reduce the cost of the production, and farmers' income can be increased in relation to the climate change. That is more important. And I would suggest that before we go, that PRA, this primary, this preliminary survey, I think that day we have discussed, and some of the KVKs might have done at least in one district, not more, but at least 200 to 300 farmers we surveyed, and based on that data, we can go for our planning. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Pathak Sahib, for your guidance and your contributions. And based your and NC Patel sir guidance, we move forward in this whole action research. And on behalf of NCCSD sir, tamaro khas aabhar. Now I request to Vikas Bhai, CEO of the Shroff Foundation, for his address and presentation. Vikas Bhai.
Thank you, Nisha Ben. I hope I'm audible.
Yes.
Thank you. And thank you so much for giving an opportunity to speak here. I must admit that I'm youngest and most, desirous student of all of you who are here to guide us. In specific, I would like to just mention a couple of points which I heard from previous speakers before I move on. And what we will discuss now is a very small compilation of about 5 to 6 different blocks. We are talking about 5 blocks of Gujarat and 2 blocks of Maharashtra from where we have collected the data. So I shall be sharing that data details with you. But more importantly, when Shende Sahib was speaking about disruptive, thoughts of bartering, or Neelam Madam spoke about technology, or Kirit Bhai spoke about the policy details, I think all of them are very relevant. But I could connect very closely to Mr. NC Patel from AAU related to balanced farming, because we have been trying to do things which are, on natural farming. And yes, Patel sir, we are very right. A judicious mix of traditional farming, chemical, material which is available, and natural material which is available is going to be very, very relevant. Coming to Maheshwari Madam's agroecological thing, I would separately connect with you, Madam. I would like to learn a little more about it. And lastly, the guidance of Pathak Sahib about various crops and the availability of seeds. So I think I will start where Pathak Sahib was mentioning. What we tried to do, sirs and madams here, as per Kirit Bhai Shiller's guidance, what we did is across the areas where we are working. So we are working in 5 blocks in Gujarat and 4 different blocks in Maharashtra. We tried to collect the data from farmers over there, and we collected the data of the yield which was noticed in the, which they experienced in the last year, we compared it with the average yield, what that particular crop was to generate in that block in past years, and also try to collect the voice of farmer that why that, why there is a difference. So in majority of the cases for last year, and we found that the difference is negative, as in the yield was, in terms of productivity, the yield was lower than what it was expected. We the entire data, we tried to classify it separately in fruits, grains, oil seeds, pulses, spices, and vegetable. So I'm speaking about 6 different categories: fruits, grains, oil seeds, pulses, spices, and vegetable. When it comes to fruits, the blocks that we are working, particularly from Kutch, we found that in date palm, the reduction has come down by about 50%. So from 130 to 150 kg per tree, the fruiting has come down to 50 kg, and it was primarily due to very high rains during the fruiting. Whereas mango has also shown a reduction of about 50% for 2 reasons. One is there was high rains, and as we all know, last year we experienced very high velocity winds. So during the flowering and fruiting stage, the high velocity winds, which was unseasonal at that point in time, also caused the fruit and the flower to drop, and thereby the productivity was much lower. Most or worst affected was pomegranate, daram, anar, jo apne kahiye. In that, the yield was only about 10 to 15% of what it should have been. Practically the whole crop was devastated, and very high rains during, very high unseasonal rains during that time has created this. Somehow watermelon has not got majorly impacted, just about 10% negative yield. So from about 9,000 kgs per acre as compared to 10,000. So I think that was a quite a reasonable change. When it comes to grain, again, the grain crop is reasonable. Wheat, largely wheat, and we took wheat and paddy both, and maize. The deflection was not so much, except Abdasa in Kutch, where we noticed about 30% damage, primarily due to pest and diseases. These pests and diseases also came in because of unseasonal rains. This is an area where the rains are not supposed to be very high, but when high rains came, unexpected guests were also there, and which caused the damage. Whereas castor was, much safe. When it comes to cotton, we found wherein Kutch, cotton was very highly damaged due to rains and pink worm and wilting issues. But on the other hand, some other sister organization of ours who are working in central Gujarat, particularly in Bharuch, have actually noticed a better yield on cotton because of very high cold, severe cold in that area, which also reduced the requirement of pesticides by about 25%. And thereby they noticed about 40% increase in the productivity, and also in terms of monetary yield. In some cases, the productivity was lower, but the rates were higher because of lower supply of cotton. So it actually generated better returns for them. Only one particular area in Kutch showed better yield on cotton, primarily because the sowing was late, and those fertilizers had used more of natural fertilizers, had done late sowing, so there was a benefit. Groundnut and mustard also had very major damage. Groundnut had damage primarily due to extreme heat, whereas mustard had shown damage because of salinity, higher salinity, and pest attacks toward the early period. In pulses, there was not much of a change, but Pathak Sahab, I would like to draw your attention, and particularly to Ansi Patel Sahab. Patel Sahab, we had taken assistance from Jabugam Extension Center of Anand Agricultural University last year, and they had provided us specific seeds for Adad, which would be able to counter the yellow worm attack. So while that yield has definitely, kind of supported us, but the availability of seeds was very limited, which was resistant to this particular pest. So in this coming time, if we are in a position to organize for higher quantity of seeds of Adad, which will protect the farmers from yellow worm attack, I think adad yield can also be better. Spices, no major change. We only got spices in one plot in Maharashtra, turmeric. There is not much of a change. On vegetables, I think there was not much change on brinjal and okra, whereas chili, cowpea, delicious bean, all three of them have shown negative productivity. So there is a loss of anything between 10% to 15% to 20% in different areas for different crops. I must mention that this data is compilation of more than 100 farmers' data, and our colleagues from Atapi, from VRTI Lote, from VRTI Bhavnagar, Gajod, Kutch, as well as from Maharashtra have kind of contributed to it. So I think that is in essence I would like to mention. And very, very specifically, yes, climate change is very detrimental to the farmers. The seeds that the yield that they are using, they are not very well aware about the methods to protect them from climate change. And more such seminars, more such awareness and guidance like Dr. Kiritbhai Shelat had given to our farmers when we had organized one of the event would be extremely useful. Thank you, Nishaji. Thank you, Shelat sir, for giving this opportunity. Thanks a lot. I look forward to learning from you.
Thank you so much, Vikas Bhai, for your excellent compilation and excellent presentation. I request Shalat Saab, sir, you would like to just add something for this, like Vikas Bhai, Vikas Bhai ने बहुत अच्छी तरीके से ये जो farmers के जो प्रोडक्शन के जो टेक्निकल जो डेटास है और उसका क्या मतलब प्रोडक्शन पे क्या असर हुआ है उसको मतलब इट्स नॉट अ इजी टास्क बिकॉज 100 फार्मर्स का अलग अलग क्रॉप पे उसके डेटास वहां पे जाके बैठ के कलेक्शंस एंड देन कंपाइलेशंस गुजरात एंड महाराष्ट्र इट्स अ excellent job and all the team members did a very hard work. Then we come up with this whole initiatives, whole data and whole presentation. So Vikas Bhai and team is doing an excellent job. Sir, I would like to I request Shalat sir for his guidance and address. Sir.
Nisha, first let us hear Dr. Govind Hariharan.
Okay, Dr. Govind Hariharan.
Yes,
okay.
yes.
Okay. So I request Dr. Govind Hariharan. Dr. Govind Hariharan, he is joining us from the USA, from the Atlanta. And when we sent email to him, because of course USA Indian time is a big difference, but it's early morning. But as a council member, as a senior person, he never say no. He always get up early in the morning, like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and he always guides us. So I request Dr. Govind Hariharan for his guidance and address. Sir.
Thank you, Dr. Shalat, Ms. Nisha, honorable distinguished experts. I learn a lot from attending these sessions and listening to Dr. Shalat and the dignitaries and experts that you bring together. And therefore, getting up early in the morning is probably is definitely not a big challenge for me since I'm getting so much from it. As a result, I have, in comparison to many of the experts, my thoughts are much less precise, but pointing towards things that I feel from an academic perspective, from the perspective of somebody whose family was in farming, more as a small subsistence farmer. And so these are all my thoughts. So please excuse my ignorance in comparison to the distinguished panel that Dr. Shalat and Ms. Nisha have put together. When you plan for the vagaries of climate change, which has become a central ingredient in long-term agricultural planning, you have to take into account a lot of different types of short-term shocks. These shocks can be in the context of weather, such as in drought and heat waves, as well as extensive or excessive monsoons and water shocks, can be in the context of pesticide-related shocks, can be in the context of price and income shocks, can be in the context of electricity and energy shocks, can be in the context of geopolitical shocks, as we have seen with the current conflict between Ukraine and Russia. And last but not least, information shocks. Now, the reason why I said not least information shocks is because, as we have seen, many of these short-term shocks short-term shocks can result with incorrect information being spread very rapidly in the digital age through social media, etc., can have a significant impact and pressure on short-term policies. We have seen that across the world on how much misinformation and disinformation can play a very, very significant role. So these short-term shocks and planning for them has to take into account its impact on the long-term goals. Policies should not move us off the track too much, because it's very hard to get back on. This is particularly true when creating policies for managing short-term shocks, while keeping this long-term vision and goal in mind in the context of small and subsistence farming. Oftentimes, we tend to group all of them together when we create these plans and responses to these shocks. A small farmer is first and foremost a person and a family fighting to stay above water. Short-term policies that are forged for them may therefore have to be very different from those crafted for large farmers and businesses. When you have an unexpected shock, they have a much more significant and bigger impact on them, not just on their livelihood, but also on their family and their own life itself. As a result, short-term shock reduction, bankruptcy avoidance policies such as insurance become very, very central. And the Indian government, under the leadership of Prime Minister Modi, has done a tremendous job in balancing all of these short-term shocks that are being thrown at them while keeping long-term goals in mind. My suggestion is that much more attention should be paid to keeping in mind the distinction between the small subsistence farmers and the larger entities in terms of these planning for short-term shocks while keeping long-term goals in mind, so as not to stray off the path. With that, I will stop my brief comments.
Thank you so much, Dr. Govind Hariharan, for your guidance and your contributions. We're really thankful to you on behalf of NCCSD. I really appreciate, and we are feel happy. Like you just always says, okay, I will do my contribution. I will give my contributions. I will give my comments. So at that time, we feel happy. Oh, Dr. Govind Hariharan with us, Dr. Anguya with us. So I always share with Shalat sir ke scientists like Govind Hariharan, he wake up and contribute. It's we feel proud. Yes, NCCSD is lucky. So Govind Hariharan ji, the council members. So now I request Dr. Shalat sir for his address. Yes, sir.
Yes, pranam to everybody. Salute. And first of all, thank you all very much. very distinguished people are among us on a very important and vital subject. And we have got very many bright ideas which have emerged from this discussion, starting from Dr. Kirit Parikh to Dr. Govind Hariharan. Dr. Parikh brought out about exports, and Dr. Govind Hariharan brought out about misinformation and interaction by our eminent scientists, Dr. N.C. Patel, Dr. Pathak, and Madam Maheshwari and all others. So we need to interact on this subject on a continuous basis, because everybody feels the need of the time. First of all, we must recognize that this country, India, we have had famine, not only drought. If you look at our 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, we had series of droughts, and there were huge deaths, there was huge cattle migration, there was population migration, and we have come out of it. So what world is seeing today as a climate change impact, we have managed successfully in past. Not only we have managed the past, if we look Gujarat example, when the Honorable Prime Minister launched Krishi Mahotsav program, Gujarat had a minus agriculture growth. And within a span of 5 to 6 years, we reached 11% growth with a huge water harvesting program and scientific agriculture based on soil health farming. So a climate smart agriculture was introduced as back as 2004 in Gujarat by Honorable Prime Minister when we were part of his team. So first, we have to recognize that we have managed situation in past, and when world recognized climate change, we developed climate resilient agriculture with scientists like Dr. Maheshwari and all Dr. Pathak and their team, Dr. Mehta, the Director Research of Junagadh Agriculture University, and all these scientists put together, and our own farmers. Therefore, despite climate change impact, which has already taken place, we produced sustainable growth, and we provided food security to our own country. And till now, as before this ban on export came due to local needs, we provided food to the world in time of need of war and in time of need for pandemic for our own countries, all population, not only farmers, but everybody. And as very rightly pointed out earlier by very distinguished persons, that agriculture provided security to nation. Not only to the nation, it provided employment in the rural areas when industry failed. The migration took place at time of pandemic. It went to rural area absorbed them, and we managed the situation. So this is the capacity of our people. They are resilient people. They are resilient, our administration, our scientists, and our public leadership. With this note, if we start this, then the impact that we are now foreseeing, we can definitely manage. But we should have to be alert, we have to be active and take variety of steps, because the present danger is more than what we have seen in last century. In last century, we have seen this is going to be more severe and more drastic, and therefore we have to be prepared. So I am not going into further details of what we have done, what we are going to do, but I am suggesting about 10 or 12 immediate steps which are needed, so that we continue to increase income of farmer, we continue to provide food security, national security, and continue to provide exports so that our farmers get more income. First and important thing is we have to select our crops based on soil health and soil moisture analysis now. It's not only soil health, it is soil moisture, which is important for crop sustainability. Second, we are doing irrigation. Now we have to check the quality of water, because quality of water is getting contaminated Due to climate change, when sea water level are rising and underground and overground salinity increase is taking place. Second most crucial part is climate related service. So which should not be confined to 4 months. On month-to-month basis, week-to-week basis, farmers need to be provided block-based advisory related to weather, and Agromet has that capacity. It is doing it. It has to be followed by agro advisory, and agro advisory has to be provided by the agriculture universities. So both the climate advisory and agro advisory has to be together, and KVKs has to shoulder this responsibility because KVKs are being equipped by now agro weather station by Agromet. Third important suggestion which I am bringing to the notice of this entire audience and particularly Niti Aayog, that we have now standalone research center for crop, whether it is horticulture or agriculture crop. Now they have to be integrated with extension. Not only they should do the research from seed to marketing point, but they have to prepare advisory of what farmers should do and put it in writing and put it on YouTube. So it is a complete integrated extension mechanism where research scientists will prepare agro advisory, and that will be there permanently on record, not as a news item, because YouTube is a system of media where advisory is available and people have access to it on whenever they need. So our all research extension center should become research cum extension center to develop communication material, and they should put it there. Fourth is mass communication. I did not elaborate this, which should include the scientist visit, minimum 6 visits to the farm, to the village level, interact with farmers, get feedback and guidance. And use not only Doordarshan, but private channels, YouTube, Facebook, and WhatsApp for this. Another area which needs some reform in agriculture administration is to integrate the KVK Atma, because they are two independent agencies, and integrate both of them properly with State Agriculture University, so that extension unison is an integrated one. There are 3 more suggestions. First is the flood prone area. We have now single day rain episodes. We have massive floods. So not a drop of water should go out of our country. We have to go for a mass reservoir. We have to go for trench system in farming so that water is developed. Then water conservation and smart use of water, which was mentioned. We need to clean up all our canals, ponds, and reservoirs which are silted, and use it, and use micro irrigation on a massive basis, because that increases our crop pattern. Then comes the food value chain, because we lose about 25 to 40% of farm yield which goes to the market. So ensure that we have a not more than 5% loss in food value chain. Then comes upskilling of farmers and all stakeholders, government functionaries, NGO functionaries, everybody need to be upskilled with the changing climate scenario, and then redefine the agroclimatic zone, because already changes have taken place. Parts of UP and Bihar are now drought stricken, and part of Gujarat, which are drought stricken like Amreli, have become green zones. So we need to redefine our agroclimatic zone. And most important of all this, a very strong program implementation organization, which monitors from district to village, from state to district, from central level to district level, not only the program administration, but bringing back research and extension organization also in this network, so that we continue to grow at same rate and much faster rate, increase income. And we are sure that we have been able to manage famines, we have been able to manage climate change, which has already taken place, and we'll be able to manage this situation. And thank you once again, all of you, for being with us. And in part of this, we are taking this forward. As Nisha mentioned, first is with our own 4 agroclimatic zone where we are working. Second is we are going to provide state government a feedback, a critical path, how to meet the situation. and to the Niti Aayog and central government that at national level what is required to be done. So today's your intervention and input is going to be very valuable for our national policies, for our farmers, for our stakeholders. Thank you very much. Nisha, please take it forward.
Yes, sure, sir. Shilat sir का बहुत धन्यवाद. Sir, thank you so much for your guidance. Now I request Malay bhai would like to share something because he just messaged me. Malay bhai, आपको कुछ share करना है part of this Vikas bhai presentation?
Nisha, Dr. Acharya is also there.
Yes, sir, I saw. Yeah, मैं उनको भी request करती हूँ. Like first of all, Malay bhai.
Yeah, Mr. Yeah, thanks for giving me opportunity. Basically, what we got from the field that due to heavy rain or due to heavy temperature, there is a productivity loss. So I think there is also need to work on the improving the what we call the stress mechanism, stress against how to cope up with stress mechanisms. What kind of technology should we have with the farmers? Say, for example, if we can treat the seed before sowing and it has good germination, or like the Acharya Sahib has done some experiments with microbes, which is providing a good germination in salinity or saline water also. Likewise, say that many of the farmers said that at the time of flowering, there was a heavy rain and flower would drop, and we have a reduction in the production or productivity. So is there kind of any technology or any what you call that product available which is improving the or reduce the dropping of the flowers? So that is also important, that how we improve the stress defending mechanism in the crops, and the crop can cope up with any type of biotic or abiotic stress. For example, I was looking for such things which could help, and one thing was like use of different products from seaweed. We was always looking seaweed as a kind of biostimulant and improve the crop productivity, or at the same time it could also be very useful for providing the stress defending mechanism to crops. So that is one thing we should also look that how we could guide farmer or provide technology to farmer, that the crop could have a good production under stress also. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Malay bhai, for your contributions. Now I request to Chauhan sir. I request to Director Research Mehta sir, and then Director Research. I request Dr. Acharya sir first, as Shalat sir just informed me first. Request Dr. Suresh Acharya sir for his guidance. So, Acharya sir.
Good evening, everybody. Honorable Dr. Shalat and other dignitaries. You see, this is a very, very important seminar, this webinar, particularly on the vicious jugalbandi of climate change with the food inflation, which is highest at the time, fertilizers problem that has arisen because of the geographical problems, and second, the rise in the fuel prices. And this is very, very dangerous. And what I would say is the ABC solution to it. A means assimilation. I'll give you only one example. Say, for example, urea or fertilizers. 50 to 60% of the fertilizer used is urea. Of the 60 million ton that is used in India. Now, urea is the most subsidized fertilizer, 89% subsidy, very precise. The loss is maximum, and its use, total fertilizer use has reduced in the country from 175 kg per hectare to around 134 kg per hectare. But the good thing is that the ratio that I think one of the speakers was speaking about, it has improved from 7.3 to 2.9 to 1 to 6.5 to 2:8 to 1. Now, how can we check these losses? What are the options that the huge subsidy, like right now, 64,000 subsidy was given to the fertilizers. So how can we reduce this burden? Because this is not sustainable at all. When we talk about the sustainability of the climate and other things, I think we should also think of the sustainability of the budgeting. Now, the options with us are like in Gujarat, we sow most of the broad-based, broad space crops like cotton and castor. So we can grow in between legumes, and these legumes can fix up atmospheric nitrogen, and we can reduce the fertilizer with that. Then we can plant some, plants like Glyceridia is there. So if we can plant them into the bund and chop it off and add it into the soil, I think that will add a lot of this nitrogen to the soil, and we can reduce urea. Then vermicomposting, this is also a very, very important tool, and particularly when CN ratio comes to 1:10, I think the whole microbes and other things, they come to equivalence, and when they come to equivalence, they do a lot of good things in the soil. Then fourth thing is carbon content in the soil is very important. People were talking about soil health card or soil health, and when we talk about soil health, soil carbon content is very important. And in this, we should take into consideration that the carbon of the soil, it should not come in contact with the carbon with the oxygen of the atmosphere. Otherwise, it will go off as carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. It will trigger the climate change. So for this, need-based tillage or recycling of the residues, cover crops, mulching, etc., we can think of. B, I think this is A, and then I come to the B, is the biota management. And biota management of the soil as in situ, and also the application, say for example, rhizobium application. So when we apply rhizobium, we can say straightway 25% nitrogen, and that way we can reduce the burden of the nitrogenous fertilizers. Similarly, PSB, phosphorus soluble bacteria. So that can reduce by 50% phosphorus application, and we know that this rate of this phosphoric acid, which is a raw material for the phosphatic fertilizer, that has gone like 16% after the Ukraine war. Then salinity, Dr. Shalet discussed about it, and the salinity is going to a very, very big problem. And I think the area 20 million hectares that is going to be added as far as salinity integration is concerned. And some of the biota, say for example, Bacillus thermus, which remains active even up to pH 14, that we can think of. We can think of Pseudomonad. Then third thing, which is very, very important, that is the chlorophyll management and this contingent planning. Contingent planning, I think Dr. Maheshwari, she has been, advocating it, so I will not touch much into it. But what I'll discuss is chlorophyll management. Like in Kutch, what we are doing is we are creating a shade upon the dragon fruit, and by shade, not only production is increasing, what we are getting the off-season production in the this dragon fruit, and that shading is very important. And shading we have observed even in what we call Anjeer. If we apply 30% or even up to 50% shade net, then the production increases like anything from the this direct sunlight. Then use of natural and neutral, because we add this fertilizer, it is almost acidic, or some of it are alkaline, so it creates a lot of problem in the soil. So neutral and natural, like we have the Mahala. Now this is a concoction of magnesium, potassium, and sulfur. Now potash is very, very important as far as the salinity management is concerned, because sodium to potash ratio is very important. And second, magnesium is the core element of chlorophyll. So normally what happens whenever there's a clouds, or whenever there is more rainfall, or with the high heat, the color of the crop that get yellows. And if we say 10 milligram of 10 gram per liter of Mahalab into it, I think it is improved. And if we keep on repeating it after 1 month or 20 days, the crop is saved a lot. So those are the some this points that I wanted to submit. And thank you very much, Dr. Shailat. I have been greatly benefited, and my knowledge has been updated today after a long time. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Acharya, for your guidance. Yes, after a long time, we need a technical support always from your side, and from you we learn a lot, because earlier we think about how we give the Pseudomonas and Trichoderma to farmers, but because of your expertise in the strict lockdown, we are able to provide the Pseudomonas and Trichoderma to actual farmers' field. So technology is not in the university, but at the field level. So with your support, it is possible. So thank you so much, sir, for your guidance and for your whole contributions. Thank you so much. Now I request to Director Research Mehta, sir, because of some my mistakes, the name is different, but it's my mistake, of course. So I request Director Research, Nagarjuna University, Dr. Mehta, sir, for his guidance. Sir.
Thank you, Nisha ma'am. Learned faculty members and dignitaries who are coming for these discussions about these current agriculture situations and challenges faced during the climate change. As we well know that from the data that climate change reduced the farm income from 15 to 18% under the unirrigated conditions, and by 20 to 25% under unirrigated conditions. That means that we have to compensate by any means to have save the farmer incomes and to raise the farmer incomes. And from the Dr. Shailat sir has rightly pointed out 10 points for immediate strategy. And these points are very valid, from selections of the crops, and finally the policy has been laid out by the policy makers also. Apart from this, I would like to pinpoint that these are the policies related to how to mitigate the climate change, and how to raise the farmer incomes, how to sustain the productivities, and how to have a soil health and all these things. Apart from this, how to minimize the climate change effect by planting the trees or any kind of the inventions we are going to make for the new technology. So technology, from the traditional knowledge to modern technology, has been incorporated in our research and technology criteria. That is very important. Apart from this, I would like to say that Dr. N.C. Patel sir has rightly pointed out the good agriculture practices involving the whole package of practices for the farmers, right from the selections of the seeds up to the marketing and value additions of that particular product is very, very important. So I am not repeating the things. Apart from this, I would like to say that reclamations of the soils, in that component, we are emphasizing more on the natural farming and organic farming. So after 3 years of or 5 years of the result, we can definitely reclaim the soils, alkaline soils, saline soils, according to the natural and organic farming's use of biofertilizers and organic amendments also. So that will be also helpful to raise the productions of the state as well as the country. Apart from these, nowadays, we have to focus on, as a university, we have to focus on climate resilience development of the crop variety. No doubt, unintentionally, some of the varieties that are very good for climate change, and farmers has already shifted the crops. For example, the Kharif Bajra, Permeate 2, Semi-Rabi as well as the summer Permeate in the coastal regions of the Saurashtra regions. Apart from this, Kharif system is totally shifted to summer system in the Saurashtra region due to the development of the varieties by the JAs. Apart from this, Semi-Rabi cultivations of soybeans, black mung bean or black grams are also increased year by year in the Saurashtra regions. One important technology in cotton, that means detopping of cotton, from the top, that will be lead to increase the branches and lead to the production. So some of the non-monetary or low monetary inputs also plays important role for the minimizing the cost of cultivations and increasing the farmer income also. Apart from this, many learned speakers has rightly pointed out the points that I also we are also following and looking after these things also. But at farmers levels, we have to think and we have to given the whole package of practices well in advance, so farmers can know how to do, and in that the agromet advisory play an important role, because farmer has to apply something, pesticides or insecticide or anything, and at that time if advisory is with him, then he can know that I can stop these kind of the package of practices for 2 days, 3 days, and as a result of this, otherwise what will be the temperature of the during the critical stage, at that time he can irrigate the crops, as well he can save the crops also. In this way I can suggest many, and I will support all these strategies given by the respective dignitaries. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, sir, for your guidance and contributions. And we're really thankful to Vice Chancellor Gondia, sir, because in this initiative, he always encourages. Thank you so much to you, sir, also, because when we need any help, technical help for the summary, for the recommendations, for the documentation, you never say no. So thank you so much, sir, for your all help, for all cooperations on behalf of NCCSD, sir. We're really thankful to you. And now I request to Dr. Timbedia, Director, Extension Education, Nausa University, for his address and guidance. Timbedia, sir. I request Dr. Manushi from the Assam for her guidance. Ma'am. Manushi, ma'am.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. A very good afternoon to all the esteemed members present here, and special thanks to Dr. Shelat and Dr. Nishta for including me in this discussion. Actually, most of the points that I have collected and incorporated in my lecture has already been taken care of. But what I'm going to talk about is a special reference to Northeastern region, which includes the states of Arunachal Pradesh, Assam, Manipur, Meghalaya, Mizoram, Sikkim, and Tripura. These states have tremendous potential for different cash crops, horticultural crops, floriculture, medicinal and aromatic plants, and herbs. The diverse and congenial soil condition, climatic condition, topography, high rainfall, occupied with the fertile soil, make the region highly suitable for roots and tubers, for floriculture, and fruits like mandarin, large cardamom, apple, kiwi, king chili, etc. Now I have jotted down a few points like regarding tuber crops, which is being planted in all the states. It is very much essential to develop or do some research work in improved production of quality planting materials, as well as improved marketing system along with the storage and processing infrastructure, as this will serve as a good source of cattle feed and industrial raw material, besides serving the human community for good nutritional security. Then potential for floriculture is very well known in this, and which is taking place and replacing the traditional field crops due to increased return input per unit area. So the full package of practices as well as marketing facility is to be developed in this sector. Now, most of the points has already been taken care of in under organic and natural farming. And as we all know, the Honorable Prime Minister has already declared the Northeastern region as the organic hub of the nation. But some farmers which are producing their product organically are very scanty, and they're not able to claim it as organic because of lack of the certification agencies available to them, as well as foolproof package of practices for many of the crops that are being produced organically. Then next point I'm taking is that emerging disease and pest complexity. That most of the work so far has been taking place for control of the major disease and pest of common crops. At the same time, disease-tolerant and resistant varieties has also been developed and adopted by the farmers. But the complexity is arising from minor pests and diseases, which is becoming a major threat. This calls for more research and output on effective control measures by developing resistant varieties or evolving control measures for such diseases and pests. Now, being a social scientist, I'd like to add one point. It's the social factor, socialization of technology and agricultural development. Now, over the years, number of farm holding in India has increased, but the area under farming has come down. As a result, the average size of the holding has decreased substantially. Such fragmented land occupancy makes it almost impossible for the farmers to viably invest in different irrigation systems or adopt the technical knowledge that has been developed and released for them, as they are because of the fragmented land. Regarding irrigation, trust may be given, as already mentioned by one of the previous speakers, in developing and popularizing micro irrigation projects and minor sprinkler irrigation, along with polyhouse and greenhouse facilities, also facilitate the farmers in combating some of the problems. Another point is farm mechanization. Due to small holding, as I have already mentioned by the farmers, focus needs to be given in developing farm mechanization sector, as major tools and machines already developed are not being adaptable by the small and marginal farmers due to their landholding sizes. So developing not only market tools and implements for the small farmers is the need of the hour, along with showing the path for value addition to their products, developing not only the market linkage, but also viable markets, creating connectivity and accessibility to potential markets. Now, regarding scaling up of storage structure, as Dr. Neelam has already mentioned that they are developing some of the warehouse facilities, but they are very scanty. The current availability of cold storage facility in India is highly skewed, and with 70% of the country's total capacity being limited to few states. In northeastern region, most of the produce are highly perishable, as I have already mentioned, be it vegetable, fruits, or flowers. Hence, development, this may be included for food processing sector too. Developing a food processing industry, demand for processed food in India is increasing, and so in the northeastern region, which is due to rapid urbanization, rising per capita income, and more women joining the workforce. Despite having huge potentiality, the food processing industry is still in the infancy stage in this region. Climate factors, I don't think I should be going into much details, as many have spoken about the climate factors, and I'm not an expert in that. But still, some of the information may be given to the practicing farmers about crop diversity, changing the cropping system, and changing the cropping routine and calendar, which will help them to adopt some of the climate resilient variety as well as environmentally sustainable. In order to conclude, I'm speaking very fast, I know, because the time is short. In spite of making much progress in production and productivity of certain crops, production of many other crops still much lower than the advanced countries and emerging market economies. Due to the fragmented landholding, I'm repeating again and again, poor infrastructure, lower public-private investment in agriculture, inadequate cold storage capacity, nascent food processing industry, low use of technology, overuse of pesticide and fertilizers. So to mitigate the challenges, the country needs a holistic approach, and I'm sure it will come out after this elaborate discussion by the learned group members present here in this agricultural sector, so that the farmers become, their livelihood becomes sustainable, as well as they become very strong producers of the country. And with a special reference to northeastern region, I'd also like to mention that Basundhara, the potential of Assam after revamping, that is a portal that has been developed to digitize their land records as well as simplify the accessibility of the land works. The government has said that this can be revamped and extended to the other states of northeastern states to facilitate the farmers' accessibility to credit and other resources. Now, one more thing I want to mention here, quoting the headline of today's one of the daily in English daily newspaper, to draw the attention of the today's esteemed members. Farmer is a king in Telangana. Why this cannot be done for other states? Because they are providing 24/7 quality free power to the agricultural sector in the state and the writer Bondo. This may be adopted as well as extended to other states where agriculture is the main livelihood of the country. With this, I come to the conclusion and thank you once again for giving me the scope of speaking to the esteemed gathering. Thank you so much, madam. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Manushi, for your contributions, for your all supports. And we always talk about the, because you are the head of the Home Science Department and Extension Department. But ma'am, today I would like to share that we always talk about the contribution of the women farmers or women in the agriculture. But today's webinar, I think we have a 50-50 contributions. So we
yes. That I can see from the audience list. Yes. That is why I said more of the women are coming out for working, and we need more of the food development in the food processing industry. That is one of the reasons I have pointed out. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much for your contributions. Now I request Goshalya Sahib, please with us for his guidance. And after Goshalya Sahib, Nandini Ben, Chandrika Ben, Jyotsna Ben, and we have officers and dignitaries from the department also, if he would like to give some guidance. So first I request to Goshalya Sahib for his guidance.
Yeah, respected Dr. Shelat and all other.
I think, sir, your voice.
Unmute. Yeah.
Haan, sir.
Yeah. Dr. Shelat sir and all dignitaries. I think 2 hours that we have utilized very usefully, and a lot of new ideas generated. We started with some 300 farmers in 4 blocks, collecting some data, and which was shared with Mr. Vikas, and he could share the gist of the all our studies, and based on that, we got a lot of guidance also from all dignitaries, and I think we need to now prepare the action plan that how we will be able to really put those things into action, and where the positive points are there and where the negative points are there, both will need to be looked at because the inflation is going up and up. Crisis of food security is also becoming very important. Energy crisis also is there, and now because of this war, what is going to happen that Western countries are going to still spend more on creating more energy resources, so they are going to use more and more fossil fuel to generate, because they don't have now energy supplied from Russia. So the climate change also really, whether on one side we try to control, other side what will be the situation, I think they will really need to look at those things. But in a short term, whatever we can do ourselves so that we help farmers, we help ourselves. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Goshalya Sahib, for your contributions. I request Nandini Ben for her contributions. Nandini Ben?
Yeah. Hello, am I audible?
Namaste.
Namaste to everybody.
आतापी की तरफ से मैं आप सबका बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया अदा करती हूँ कि इतने टेक्निकल डेलिब्रेशंस के अंदर हमको पार्टनर बनाया है। एंड एनसीएसटी के साथ हमने लास्ट ईयर 100 फार्मर्स के साथ क्लाइमेट रेजिलिएंट एग्रीकल्चर के ऊपर जो काम किया था, उसमें से बहुत मेजर लर्निंग्स हमारी निकल के आई थी जो हम आगे लेके जा रहे हैं। एंड विद दिस फोरम आई बिलीव दैट वी विल लर्न इवन मोर विद सच एक्सपर्ट गाइडेंस एंड वी रियली लुक फॉरवर्ड टू दिस एक्शन रिसर्च जो कि हम आगे लेके जाना चाह रहे हैं। जैसे कि आज जो डेटा विकास भाई ने शेयर किया, सो डेफिनेटली देयर इज राइट नाउ पॉजिटिव एंड negative results which are coming out, and we would like to track it better and come to very solid conclusions regarding this. So thank you very much to making us a part of this deliberations. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nandini Ben. I request Chandrika, Jyotsna Ben, you would like to share something? Jyotsna Ben, आपको कुछ आपकी बात शेयर करनी है?
हेलो,
यस, नमस्ते।
आवाज आती है निशा बहन?
हाँ, आती ज्योत्सना बेन।
नमस्ते शैलज साहब, नमस्ते सभी को। आज का जो वर्कशॉप था उसमें बहुत अच्छी जानकारी मिली और उसमें सेवा से तो सेवा में भी हमारा एग्रीकल्चर कैंपेन चल रहा है, तो जो सोलर पैनल वाला और जो सीड वाला, तो ये सब काम हम आगे भी ले जा रहे हैं और अभी जो आज के दिन में जो सीखने को मिला वो भी हमारे प्लान में रख के हम आगे जाएंगे। तो थैंक यू शैलज भाई, निशा बहन।
Thank you, Jyotsna Ben. आपका बहुत-बहुत धन्यवाद for this participating in this meet. I request Chandrika Ben for मैं चंद्रिका बेन से विनती करूंगी उनके सुझाव और उनके मार्गदर्शन के लिए। चंद्रिका बेन। तो आज का आई थिंक चंद्रिका बेन हमारे साथ थी, वो कोई मीटिंग में, उनका मैसेज है मीटिंग में निकली है।
She is traveling, so maybe next connection नहीं।
So thank you so much नंदिनी बेन। So आज का ये जो इंटरेक्शन मीट है उसके हम लास्ट एंड पे आ गए, मतलब लास्ट पड़ाव पे हम लोग आ गए हैं और जो हमारे स्पीकर्स थे, जो पार्टिसिपेंट्स, जो भी कंट्रीब्यूटर्स, तो जो भी आज हमारे साथ इसमें जुड़े थे, सभी ने अपना जो कंट्रीब्यूशंस दिया। So we really thankful to you on behalf of NCCST. I really thankful to all the key speakers because today we are in the group 28, 20, 30, 35 in the member of the group, and we all are the speakers. You all are the key speakers because we all are working in the same field. We all have expertise. We have a different knowledge, but it's come together. So it's like a big. It's concluded as a big strength. So thank you so much to all the key speakers. Particularly, thank you so much to all the SWOC organizations, PIT Manvi, Bhavnagar, Roha, Maharashtra, VRTI, then SFT, ATAPI, because जिस तरीके से ये काम को हमने आगे लिया, उसको ये फर्स्ट मतलब 3-4 महीने से हम साथ में मिलके जो कर रहे थे, उसको प्रेजेंट जो करना था उसमें एक अच्छे से एक स्ट्रक्चर वर्कआउट हुआ और जो काम था उसको हम अच्छी तरीके से प्रेजेंट करके गाइडेंस ले पाए। सो थैंक यू सो मच। आपने बहुत अच्छी तरीके से, बहुत हार्ड वर्क से हम लोगों ने ये पूरा काम हाथ में लिया है, लेकिन हम इसको आगे लेके बहुत आगे जाके उसको सक्सेसफुल, मतलब हम 3 साल में जो करना चाहते हैं उसको हम करके रहेंगे और उसको हम हमारे फार्मर्स को जो हम बात करें आत्मनिर्भर, सेल्फ रिलायंट, वहां तक हमको ले जा पाएंगे। थैंक यू सो मच टू कौशल्या सर, स्पेशली थैंक्स टू परीक सर, डॉक्टर नीलम पटेल, अनुराधा भताना मैम, देन शेंद्री जी, डॉक्टर रिया पाठक, महेश्वरी मैम, एनसी पटेल सर, विकास भाई, डॉक्टर मेहता, डॉक्टर चिंबड़िया, डॉक्टर मानुषी, स्पेशली थैंक्स टू प्रोफेसर गोविंद हरिहरन for always support us, Dr. Sadamate, Dr. Suresh Acharya, and all. Of course, earlier I mentioned we received the notes from the Director Krida and the Nandakumar Devte also. So, of course, we are in the, as a core team, as a strength, as a group, how we can work together for the Atmanirbhar farmers, for the doubling of the income. So thank you so much for all the contribution. Thank you so much.
Can I speak for a minute?
Yes, sir.
Before Nisha concludes, my request to all the speakers, please send in writing what you have spoken, because it is very important. We are compiling this for state level and national level recommendation also. And Vikas, you have got now data of all the 4 centers, and you have a very good data compilation center. So please bring out a very good brief note and summary so that we can come to some concrete conclusion and strategies. Please go
Yes,
ahead, Nish.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So thank you so much to all the members of this interaction meet. And on behalf of NCCSU, we're really thankful to you. Thank you so much, the team member and scientists from the Junagadh University who are helping us for the summary and the recommendations. And thank you so much, Acharya sir, because you are helping us always for the summary and recommendations. So thank you so much on behalf of NCCSB sir. And of course, our vision is, हमारा ये लक्ष्य है कि जैसे हम काम करें तो हमारे जो किसान भाई बहन है उसके लिए काम करें, जिसकी आमदनी बढ़े, जो टेक्नोलॉजी एक्सेस कर पाए, जिनकी बिकॉज ऑफ क्लाइमेट चेंज, हवामान के बदलाव से जो उनके खेत पे, उनके क्रॉप पे असर हो रही है वो कम हो। एंड जो एग्रो एडवाइजरी है जो हमको आचार्य सर प्रोवाइड करते हैं वो उन तक पहुंचे, जिससे वो टेक्नोलॉजी को अडॉप्ट करें और मिटिगेशन की ओर जाए। मतलब हम लोग जैसे इट्स क्लाइमेट चेंज इज नॉट लाइक नेशनल एंड विलेज लेवल फिनोमेना, इट्स इंटरनेशनल, वी ऑल नो, लेकिन ये असर करता है नीचे से ऊपर तक। तो हम सबका जो नीचे से ऊपर तक का कंट्रीब्यूशन है, इट्स वेरी मच इम्पोर्टेंट। सो आई एम नॉट टेकिंग मच टाइम, लेकिन आज आप सब ने ये इंटरेक्शंस मीट में जो कंट्रीब्यूशन किया इसके लिए मैं सबकी आभारी हूँ। एंड ऑफ कोर्स आफ्टर 6 months, आफ्टर 9 months, आफ्टर 1 year, आफ्टर 1.5, 2, 3, सो आफ्टर 3 साल के बाद हमारे पास अच्छी तरीके से बहुत सारे ऐसे हमारे सेंटर फॉर एक्सेलेंस एंड केस स्टडीज होंगे जिसको हम अलग स्टेट में भी रेप्लिकेट कर पाएंगे। बहुत अच्छे सुझाव आए। सो सबका तहे दिल से धन्यवाद। एंड वी रिक्वेस्ट योर कंट्रीब्यूशंस फॉरएवर। आप सबका हमको हमेशा कंट्रीब्यूशंस मिले, ऐसी आशा के साथ ये इंटरेक्शंस भी यहाँ पे हम खत्म करते हैं। थैंक यू सो मच। थैंक यू सो मच टू ऑल।
Thank you, Nisha, for conducting this very well.
Thank you, sir, for your guidance. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you.